Welcome guys. Today we are going to learn how to deal with a package if it arrives and it does not look good. So by that what I mean is if we get it and it is contaminated. So this is a big question I get. Is the plant okay? Is it going to live? Here's a little bit close up. This one is probably a fungus that's causing this, so you can see that there. So what we do, so the thing is, it's the gel that is contaminated. So these are sterile packs, and these gels contain all of the nutrients and everything that a plant needs to live. But that's also the same things that bacteria and fungus also need to live. So they thrive in those conditions. So a lot of times what will happen is after a few days, and it usually happens very rapidly if it goes in a dark spot, or even if it's not in a dark spot, this bacteria, fungus, whatever it may be, takes hold, and then all of a sudden it's all over the place. So no effect on the plant, it's the gel. The thing is, just like root rot, which is caused by bacteria, if you leave it for a while, of course it will not be good for the plant. So what we do, and I apologize. So what we do for these is, I want to put on some gloves here. You just don't want this stuff all over your hands. Try not to get stuff on your hands. You don't know what's in it. I don't know what's in it. I have an idea of what's in it, but you know, some places, right, scratch that. Edit that out. Okay, so we just open up the bag. Now I use tweezers. I like to use tweezers, and I use gloves, and this is just the way it works. This is my table that I use. You know, I obviously am into this a little bit more than a hobby. So I have specialized stuff. You don't need specialized stuff by any means, but it does help if you do. So we'll take that one out, and then as you can see, it's got some of that stuff on it. So I don't see any dead tissue or anything, so nothing removed. So I will just place it in my water cup here to let it soak. Kind of makes the gel a little easier to get off. Here's another good example. So when you get this out of the bag, this is what you're going to do when you get out of the bag. I will say, let it sit just around the room. I mean, you can even just put it in your kitchen, or you know, just some warm, normal area. It doesn't have to be anything crazy specific. It just needs to acclimate to basically the environment it's going to be in. And it only needs a couple of days to do that before you start the actual environment acclimation, which will take, 2 weeks, somewhere around there. So same thing with this one. Take my knife, and I normally have a scalpel, but I can't find mine right now. And these needed to come out of the bag, so I just decided to go for it. So again, take our tweezers. I don't actually like these tweezers. I don't know why I have them. Actually, I do know why I have them. I lied. So here's a perfect example. We talk about the long roots or dead roots. You can't have root rot. Now, in this particular case, it looks like there's some bacterial contamination. So this one could potentially have root rot. I don't think that it does. But if somebody were to get this one and get it out of there, you would want to get it out as quick as possible. But in this scenario, it is possible. But as long as you clean it up quick, it's not going to stay. So, but this is also these roots are going to be, it just came off. They're just really brittle. So that big amount of root right there, I'm just going to throw it away because I don't really need it. In fact, a lot of these, just in order to eliminate issues and stuff, I will just run the tweezers along them, and a lot of times they just come off. But that's the easiest way to get the gel off. So since that one come off, I'll just do all of it. And then I'm going to take this bottom leaf off because it's not looking great. So now this is all I've got left right there. Now, I'll let that soak still, and of course this is a beautiful plant here, and it'll be just fine. I also want to point out the black on the bottom. What you do when you see anything like that, the black on the bottom, just take your tweezers, and you just kind of get it over there as gently as you can. That's it. Just like that. And I always have a little rinsing one as well. So then put that in there to soak. There's a couple reasons for the water and the soaking. It loosens up that gel a little bit, makes it easier to clean off, and it kind of just helps get the plants used to being in the air without wilting or anything, because you really don't want these things exposed to air at any, not humid air rather, at any point in time until they're acclimated. Woo! I haven't even had a drink today. Isn't that crazy? So this one here, there's actually nothing wrong with this one. There's a difference between one dead leaf. So here's our thought process. If it has like one dead small leaf on there, that's pretty normal. But when we see this yellowing, like we do on this leaf right here, that's a little different because there's only 2 leaves on this plant as it is. So if we see one that's yellowing like that, that's kind of a sign that maybe we need to do something with it. I don't know that it's necessarily unhealthy. Maybe it just kind of got burnt in the sun, or not the sun, sorry. Got burnt in the light or got too close to the light. I don't know what happened to it. But this one is one that we would try not to send out. Now, you know, if I absolutely had to, I would send this one out maybe. But that's really just because the actual single leaf that is left is really gorgeous. I take that back. I would not send this one out. But I could wait for a new one to grow, a new leaf to grow, and then I would send it out because it's a very pretty one, as you can see. So I would definitely like to get it, you know, I would like that. So there's that. I don't know where this thing's focusing, but there's that. Okay. And then of course we'll just take that and try to get some of that off there. This one, this is an aerial root right here. So it's a big root. These are really likely to break. Just so you know, they're very likely to break whenever you're doing anything. So if this one breaks off, it's totally fine. And I'll show you some examples of the other roots. There's some roots that you don't really get. So most of them are gonna be like this aerial root type of thing. I don't know if I have any right now that are developing regular roots. Maybe this one is. So this one right here. So this one's actually, those ones you want to try to keep. I probably won't be able to keep these ones because these other ones. This is a kind of an example. I'm going to open this one. This one I just didn't think was very great looking. So I didn't get rid of it, or I didn't ship it out. Take that out. So this one is a good example. Rinse that off of kind of what some people are talking about. Now, here's what you guys need to realize. I mentioned this on a live that I was on, that when these are grown, they kind of form little clusters, right? So a lot of times this black stuff is from when they separate the clusters, just things die. But there's no bacteria, so there's no way for it to rot. It just dies on the end of the plant and turns black. So the best thing I can say to do that, and there's a few on here, but as you can see, I just take them off. You know, you just remove them, put them in some water there, try to be careful. They're not really dead, it's just tissue around it. As you can see, there's new root forming at the end of this black one. Tissue culture is just a little bit different. But here's the really cool thing. So since I said that this kind of works as a cluster when they're done, as you can see here, this is actually 2 plants. So I will take this one and I will break it off. Now I've got 2 plants. And this one I'll clean up a little bit. I'll just take those off. Now I would not, this is just for the extra plant. Usually we don't have this much work involved, but if they do have 2 plants on them, it's just a bonus for you. So even if there is a bit of work to clean it up, you don't have to clean this up. You can just throw it away if you don't want to mess with cleaning the second plant up. But the cool thing is if you do it, you will get another plant. There's actually possibly 2 plants on this little guy. I don't know if that, I'm not sure how good this camera is picking that up. There we go, maybe there. I don't know. Anyway, so there's a new plant or 2. And then I still have the original plant. So with this one, I'll just take it. I'll leave that root on there. That one seems like a good root. We got some new growth there, so I'll leave that root. But even if I did take it off, the plant would be fine. It's got, see, one thing you've got to realize too, I get a lot of questions about the cuttings. A lot of people still call them cuttings and stuff, which we're trying to get people to kind of understand the difference here, and that's kind of the point of all these. You know, if you're familiar with these at all, usually every new leaf forms a new node. Well, this one's got several nodes on it already. So if something happens with the roots, there's multiple growth points that this could grow roots from. So if it's not, that's why I always say it's not a big issue about roots in tissue culture, because so much happens with the roots that it's just easy to say, you know, the amount of times I just take them off completely just to make them more manageable. It's insane. So anyway, this one is another one that looks like it's got some contamination of some sort of fungus. So we'll get this one out there. Now this one is a little concerning, but these things are pretty strong. So I imagine this one will be just fine. Maybe I'll give you guys an update, but the gel's even all gross. So get that and put that in. That's why you have the rinse bin and the gloves, because you don't want this stuff on your hands. So now I'm gonna rinse it real quick. Get that off of there. Okay, I guess I did it. Sometimes you just gotta do it. Alright, so with this one here, as you can see, the plant's still great. I mean, the plant still looks really good. So that's what I mean when I say the gel's contaminated and not the plant. So all we do is simply just take the gel off, and if you want to, you could just take this root off. I'm probably not going to right now, but I can almost guarantee you when I go to plant this in my planter that I have for these things, that I have a big old sheet of them. When I do those, then I guarantee you that that thing is going to break anyway. So it really doesn't matter. So then this one I just didn't really like the leaf. Again, it's kind of we kind of really just do a 2-leaf minimum. You can have 1 dead leaf if there's 2 other good viable leaves. But if there's only 1 leaf and the other one is dead, I usually don't send those out. Not saying that, you know, things can't happen in shipping or, you know, one gets by. The important thing is to know that they are plants. They have multiple nodes, and if something like that happens, it's okay. It'll still grow in the same plant. I realize that we always want them to be perfect when they show up, and that's understandable. But they are living things. So it's just like, you know, sometimes you just kind of have to weigh that balance, and that's really all I can say about it. You just kind of got to understand they're living things. So I'll put that in there. Only a couple more to go, guys. This one also looks like it has some sort of fungus or mold or bacteria. I don't know about this one. It's pretty cloudy. Usually that means bacteria, but who knows. So this one, we'll just kind of get a little bit aggressive there. Basically, I'll just rinse her there and then throw her in there. And then this one is definitely bacteria. If it's super cloudy and gross like that, it's bacteria. They're also the ones that tend to smell the worst, which isn't always fun. The fungus doesn't typically smell too bad. So I use my tweezers, open that up. Now this one also is making that agar, the agar. I don't know how you guys pronounce that, but it's making it really gross. So I'm gonna put this one over here because I don't want to get with the rest of them. So that's it, guys. I've already done some videos on how to put them into their acclimation kits. I do want to say that my friends at Plant Cell Technology sent me a ambassador kit, so thank you guys over there. If you guys ever want to do tissue culture, try tissue culture, or even just know how to get you can get the general formula from them and put it in these cool little things, and they can literally just stay in here. It gets a little complicated and there's a little bit more to it, but I do personally love using these. They're called magenta jars. I have several plants that I keep in them more for display purposes. They're very solid plants here, and they also gave me some other stuff, and they also gave me this flask, and yeah, it didn't make it through the move. So it gave me some agar, a syringe, and another magenta thing, as well as they gave me some ppm, which is really the big thing. So when we do tissue culture, we put something called ppm in there, and it's a plant preservative mixture, and what the purpose is to continue to keep it sterile in those bags. And sometimes the bacteria or fungus or whatever it may be is a little bit too strong, or maybe it not as effective with ppm, and that's when we get contamination. But I assure you, It's no matter what, you could have the biggest lab, the high-tech equipment in the world, you're still going to get contamination just because of the nature of the beast. It's invisible, you can't see it. All you can really do is your protocols to try to keep it away. So anyways, I want everybody to know it's not scary. If you get one that's like that, the plant is okay. We will not send one out that looks like that. So it is very possible that if you get one, it has happened in the package over the last 3 days. Just like any bacteria, it can spread very rapidly. In fact, I'm going to do a video on that. So I'll get some agar plates ready, and we'll see what they look like after I expose them to certain things, and you guys can see how fast it grows. I think that'll be pretty cool. All right, so leave your comments if you have any ideas for the next video, and I'll be happy to do those, or if you have any questions. And if you could, give it a thumbs up, and happy growing. Thanks, guys.